Part 7, Super Mario FX. In 1993, Nintendo released a game produced by Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto for the Super Nintendo called Star Fox. It was the first game developed by Nintendo that used the new Super FX chip, or Super Mario chip. It was a chip added to select SNES cartridges primarily to provide advanced 2D and 3D techniques. The Super FX chip was designed by Argonaut Games, who also co-developed Star Fox with Nintendo. It is Nintendo's first game to use 3D polygon graphics. Around the time Miyamoto was working on Star Fox in 1993, he got the idea for a new Mario game for the SNES. The Mario game would be the first ever 3D platformer, called Super Mario FX. A year earlier in 1992, Mario went mobile once again, with the sequel to the hit Game Boy game Super Mario Land, this time Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins. Like the first, Super Mario Land 2 is one of the few Super Mario games not developed by Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto. Instead, Nintendo R&D 1 handled development. The director would be Hiroji Kayatake, with the Game Boy creator Gunpei Yokoi back as producer. It took the things that were good from Super Mario Land and made them great. Also, for the first time, we met Wario, a childhood rival of the Mario Brothers. In this game, he would be the antagonist, and the player assumes the role of the protagonist Mario, whose main objective is to reclaim his castle stolen by Wario. However, the magical seal that Wario placed on the castle entrance can only be undone by collecting the 6 golden coins, which are guarded by Wario's henchmen in various locations of Mario Land. At 4 megabytes, it was one of the largest games on the Game Boy at the time of its release, and 8 times larger than its predecessor's capacity. It was released in Japan on October 21st, 1992, and in North America, November 2nd, 1992. It is by far one of the best games to ever be released on the Game Boy, and has sold over 11 million copies, making it the 5th best-selling game on the Game Boy. Gunpei Yokoi would end up leaving Nintendo a few years later in 1996. Yokoi produced several R&D 1 games such as Kid Icarus and Metroid. He designed Rob the Robot and the Game Boy, the latter of which became a worldwide success. Another of his creations, the Virtual Boy. It was a commercial failure, but his last gift to Nintendo was the successful Game Boy Pocket. He left with several of his subordinates to form a new company called Koto. Yokoi led the development of the Bandai WonderSwan handheld gaming machine. Tragically, in 1997, after getting in a minor accident, Yokoi left his car to inspect the damage and was hit and fatally injured by 2 passing cars. 2 hours later, Gunpei Yokoi was pronounced dead on October 4th, 1997. Satoru Iwata, CEO of Nintendo from 2002 until 2015, claimed that Yokai's philosophy is still part of Nintendo, as it has been passed down onto the disciples of Yokoi, such as Miyamoto, and it continues to show itself in Nintendo's technology today. Miyamoto was still working on Super Mario FX when Nintendo released the first prequel in the Super Mario series, Yoshi's Island. Players loved the new addition to Mario's growing roster from Super Mario World, Yoshi, so much that Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, became a Super Mario game where Mario wasn't playable. The focus was entirely on Yoshi carrying helpless baby Mario to safety. Nintendo EAD handled development, with Miyamoto back as producer, Takeshi Tezuka as director, and Koji Kondo back as composer. When Miyamoto first brought Yoshi's Island to Nintendo's marketing team, they thought it lacked the power to impress. They did not like the Mario-style graphics, preferring it to have the computer pre-rendered graphics of Donkey Kong Country. Opposed to the style, Miyamoto instead further escalated his cartoonish visuals into a hand-drawn crayon style. Nintendo's marketing department accepted this revision. Miyamoto later recalled feeling that the marketing department wanted better hardware and more beautiful graphics instead of art. The game cartridge used an extra microchip to support the game's rotation, scaling, and other sprite-changing special effects. Yoshi's Island was designed to use the Super FX chip, but when Nintendo stopped supporting the chip, the game became the first to use Argonaut Games' Super FX2 microchip. Yoshi's Island was released first in Japan August 1995, and 2 months later in North America and Europe on the SNES. Yoshi's Island is a two-dimensional side-scrolling platformer in which players help friendly dinosaurs known as Yoshis escort Baby Mario safely through 48 levels across 6 worlds in order to rescue his brother Luigi, who had been kidnapped by an evil Maggie Koopa. Each level casts players as different colored Yoshis, who must escort Baby Mario on his back and reach the end of the level where he is passed on to the next Yoshi. Similar to Super Mario World, Yoshi can use his tongue to ensnare enemies and put them into his mouth. When something is in his mouth, Yoshi can either spit it out as an attack or swallow it and turn it into an egg. These eggs can then be thrown at an angle, even bouncing off walls, to attack enemies or reach faraway, hard-to-reach items. The goal of each level is to protect Baby Mario. Each of the game's worlds features 8 main levels, with a boss appearing at the end of every 4th and 8th level. Yoshi's Island received instant and universal acclaim. With perfect controls and beautiful artwork, the only real criticism the game has really gotten was that the sound of Baby Mario crying could start to get a little annoying after some time. The game sold well, selling over 4 million copies. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System was a great system. It was able to stay alive as a 16-bit console in a 32-bit age, with more power in the game cartridge like the SFX chip and the SA1 chip. Mario had some of his best games on the SNES. Games like Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Kart, and Super Mario RPG. But there was still one last Mario game Miyamoto wanted on the SNES, Super Mario FX, which would be one of the first 3D platformers. The game never reached development, but Miyamoto did develop most of the game's concepts during the era of the SNES and planned on using the FX chip for the game to be on the SNES. But with Nintendo's new home console, codenamed Project Reality, soon to be released in 1996, Miyamoto chose to bring the project to the new console due to the controller having more buttons that would suit the new 3D platformer better than the SNES controller. Join us next week on Gaming Docs for Part 8 of the history of Super Mario, where we focus on one of the best, if not the best, video games ever made, Super Mario 64.